What's up, guys? So the game plan for today is to pop in some Aerocatch hood pins and also make a removable core support for the car that's a little more rigid and a little, you know, less stock. So that's the plan. Let's see what I can get to. The game plan is to cut this core support right here along this line, kind of like where this frame rail is. And what I might do is I might leave a little meat on the top here. That way I can kind of like fold it down and like box it in a bit. I think that would work a little better than just cutting it flat. And then I'm gonna take a piece of angle iron and I'm gonna bolt it in here and I'm gonna run it right along where this radiator is now, so there won't be this gap here. And then I'm gonna re-drill these. Or I might weld them to it. I haven't decided. I'll probably end up welding these to that bar. That way you just pull the whole thing off. You don't have to bolt these in separately. I think that'd be a lot nicer. And then that way it's just one bar for both mounts. I mean, I'll ditch this latch and I'll install the Aerocatch latches on that. Drill a couple holes so I can zip tie the wiring in there. But that'll make pulling the motor a lot easier. If I ever have to take it out, it'll just clean this up a lot, make it a little more rigid than this. Because this is a very flimsy, very, very thin metal. So I'm hoping what I have is a little stronger. If not, I can always make something else later. Like it's, you know, I have options. This is very, very sketchy. So now that I have this cut out, the plan is to get a piece of angle iron and cut just the bottom, like vertical part of the angle so that it fits in this really snug. I might have to trim this bit a bit. There's like this other box here that I didn't want to cut out for structure, but I just removed the top flimsy core support part of it. Yeah, so I want it might just tuck right behind this, maybe. I'm not sure. I might be able to kind of tap it in a bit. Or you know what, maybe I'll just trim this here. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll just trim this angle out of it here. Cool. But I'll start cutting that up and then we could test fit that. So I have the piece cut to length now. Now I just gotta figure out how much I wanna notch out of it to fit here. So it's basically gonna sit like this, but lower. It's a lot more low profile and I'll be able to tuck the wires right up underneath it. But it's gonna be a lot more rigid because of this vertical component and its thickness. So this is thicker than this old flimsy thing. Even with the latch, I think this is like lighter than that piece of angle iron because of how thin this metal is. So you can see it really has no structure to it because I removed the vertical part of this, so there's nothing left. So I'm hoping that this on its own will be enough to, you know, because it's only gonna have 2 Aerocatch latches on it. So I have the piece cut out completely now on both sides, and it's gonna sit probably back like that. So that'll be how that goes. Weird thing though, I might have to like make an access. I mean, this isn't connected, but what I might do is take a hole saw to both sides of these. We'll see if I can make that work so I can get in there and get a nut on the back side of this. I also plan on not only getting like a bash bar, but I also want to do like a connection, kind of like a lower radiator support, because there isn't anything there at the bottom. Basically, there's nothing connecting the frame rails besides this bar. And, you know, it's rigid, but it might not be enough. So I might add another, you know, structural member and get a bash bar. But for now, that works. So I'll figure out what I need to do with those bolts to fasten this on here. I might move it up a tad just to get a better spot, but we'll see once I get access in there. Here we go. All bolted in. The thing is sturdy as hell. I also moved the wiring up to the intercooler bracket up here. I figured I'd keep the wiring off that in case if I ever have to pull it to like do any work on the radiator. I don't have to unzip the wiring every time. Odds are I won't be pulling this out as often as I would be wanting to pull this out. So, took care of that. The next step is going to be to mount these brackets back on. And then I can start working on where I want to drill the holes for the latches, because they'll go right into this. So I welded on the radiator plates, and this thing is not moving. When I go to actually like paint it, I'll put some like rubber on there. But this is great. The radiator sits right up against that, real nice, real solid. So now I just have to mount the Aerocatch latches. Now this was an accident, but if you notice, this bar is like almost perfectly parallel with the hood. So it's gonna mean the pins come right up off this. Now I wasn't even planning that, and I think that's gonna really help with lining these up. My phone died, and I unfortunately didn't film any of this, but basically all you do is you plop the little stud thingies in, mark them on the bottom of the hood, drill up all the way through, and then you kind of use the template in 2 different hole sizes. It's like 1 3/4, and then, what was this guy? 1 1/8, I think, or something like that. It has it on the box. But basically you just line it up straight, drill the holes. The pain in the ass thing with this bumper is there's like 3 skins in this area. So getting the under flange thing to line up was just such a nightmare. I am a sweaty mess. It's freaking disgusting in here. Oh, it's so humid. Oh man, but I got that on. There's a bunch of like metal holes jingling around in the under the hood. But yeah, as you can see, oh sorry, you can hear that. I have to fish those out with a magnet or something. But yeah, you gotta like cut all that out, and getting the flange back there was a pain in the ass. I had to clean all this up. Hopefully I can get a new hood at some point, and then all I'll need for these is like new hardware, and then it'll be good. But yeah, that was a pain. But these are pretty much done. I'm just gonna adjust them a little bit, and then it'll be set. That's it. There we go. All that sweat. I'm done. I'll be back some other time. Oh my gosh. I don't know why I'm sweating so much. It's probably because I'm wearing jeans. I didn't bring shorts from work. That's probably why I'm just overheating. That looks cool though. I'm gonna go home, take a shower. I'm not even gonna show my face right now. It's that gross. I'll see you guys next time I'm here. What's up guys? So the other day, actually this past weekend, I tidied up a few things in the car, and I drove about a half hour, mostly highway actually, to my buddy's shop to pick up a couple more parts for the car. And the car drove amazingly on the highway, besides the diff noise was pretty ridiculous. But I'll put a clip in now of what that was like. So as you can see, we're on the highway. Everything's great. And look, there's a tunnel. Oh yeah! Man, that diff is loud. So loud. So loud. The exhaust is so quiet. Yeah. So yeah, we drove there perfectly fine. The car did great. Didn't get too hot. I think I got up to like maybe 205 or 210 on the highway, which is kind of but that could, you know, I could probably just bleed it and get rid of that. But when I got on the way back, I was within about like a mile of the garage. And anytime I went to accelerate, it started bogging and leaning out. So I'm thinking there's something clogging the fuel system. Hopefully it's something easy, you know, like a clogged injector or something. But with how nasty the tank is, I'm kind of thinking it might be something with the fuel pump stock. So I'm gonna hook back up the fuel pressure gauge and I'm gonna run it through a couple things and try to figure out what's going on with that. I'm gonna drive around with a gauge on the dash, kind of like I did before. I'd really like to get a fuel pressure sensor to put in the engine. That way I could actually like log it with the Haltech or put it up on the race pack, which would be phenomenal. But that's gonna be for a later time when I really try to clean up the fuel lines, because as right now they're really janky, and I'm using the hard line, which granted the hard line will be good for plenty of power, but just the way I have it all kind of rigged with weird fittings and stuff, it's really not clean and I really don't feel comfortable with it. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to figure that out now. Hopefully it's something simple. Worst case scenario, I have to drop the tank and actually finally clean it out. I never even did that when I had the car as a shell, which I really wish I did now. I'm gonna have to clean out the tank maybe, if that's what the bad thing is, get a new filter for the pump. I wanna put a fuel filter in line to the injectors. That's on my list of things to do, and because I don't have one now, it could be a clogged injector, that's very likely. I have a filter out of a GM, like a GM filter, but they use a different kind of fitting than the one I ordered, so it's not sealing well, so I'm gonna probably JB weld the fittings into that just for now, until I can get a better filter down the line. So there's a lot to tackle today with the fuel system and figuring that out, but I'm hoping it's something really easy, and if that's the case, then we can move on and put this behind me. If not, I have to put some more work into it, but fuel system is super important with drift cars, especially because you're gonna be bashing limiter, and you really don't wanna lean out an engine that high in the RPM. So the last thing I wanna do is hack the fuel system in this car when I actually wanna drive it hard. So I wanna make sure that's dialed. So I have my little fuel pressure gauge rigged up again. As you can see, it's at 0 right now. But if I turn the pump on, because the regulator is seeing atmospheric pressure right now, this should be maximum. And I'm pretty sure max is supposed to be like 43 or something, so that clearly is working. So I'm gonna pinch off the return line and see how high I can get that to go, just to see if something else is wrong. If I clamp off the return line, the pump can easily make upwards of 80 PSI. So I don't think we have anything to worry about with pump supply. Oh, that's actually a lot of flow. So it could just be as simple as a clogged injector. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tidy this up a bit. I'm gonna mount the gauge somewhere in front of me. I'm just gonna take it for a quick ride and just kind of get on it a little bit and see what it does and make sure the fuel pressure doesn't drop. Because if this fuel pressure doesn't drop when I'm getting that issue, then it's one of two things. It's either a problem with the injectors or a problem with the ECU sending signal to the injectors, which could be something weird, like some fail-safe that was set up. Maybe I triggered something on the way home the other day and it was making the car fuel cut while going into boost, which I really doubt, but it could be. I'm not ruling that out, especially because it came on so abrupt. There was no like gradualness of this. It was literally driving fine and then garbage. So let's hope it's something easy I can figure out. The pressure looks fine. So that leads me to think, yeah, it feels great. That's leading me to think it's something with the tune, or a fuel like a safe cut or something, or just a temporary clog in the injector that fixed itself. Well then, jeez. Only problem that I can say so far about this garage is under this loft. If I'm not paying attention, I will take my forehead off, which I've done numerous times. Just like I turn around quick and just, it's brutal. So good news and bad news. Good news is there is no real issue that I can see with the fuel lines or any kind of clog or anything like that. Bad news is I don't know what happened the other day, which is very interesting. I don't have my laptop with me now, so I can't see if there's any kind of fuel safes or anything like that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure it was just like some weird clog. But at the same time, I mean, a clog with one injector wouldn't have really caused the symptoms I was having. So I'm really, really hesitant to say that's the case. So I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, because right there, I just took it out, and I mean, it's a little cooler today. It's probably like low 60s, and I got on it in like second, and the thing broke loose. I wasn't even trying. I was just trying to see if it made boost, and thing went right sideways, and this is a very quiet neighborhood, so I don't really enjoy doing that at all. So I'm still gonna pull the cover off the back in the fuel tank and just kind of give it a look in there. I wanna get an assessment of what my fuel tank looks like on the inside, which I haven't done, and this whole kind of thing made me think about that. I don't know if any of you other car guys out there can side with me on this, but you know, I did this whole driving, when I drove the car, that was Saturday. And between then and now, I have almost purchased like 4 things to try to fix this. And I kept having to tell myself to just like, dude, chill, because it could have been something as simple as this. But my gut reaction was, damn, it's the fuel tank, it's garbage, or something with my fuel lines, or something with this. So I was literally about to pull the trigger on like a fuel cell or something until I realized how much of a pain in the ass that would have been to put in, because I realized how expensive tanks are for this car. I'm sure there's a lot of guys out there that can side with that, like, you know, it's really, really quick to the trigger when it comes to buying stuff, because I know that's how I am. I impulse buy more than half the stuff I do end up buying. Kills me. So that's good. So I'm still gonna take a look at the fuel system and just kind of clean it up. I really don't like how the driver's side of the bay looks, where all the wires are and the distribution block and the fuel lines. So I really want to end up cleaning that up. I'll show you guys what I'm talking about. I'm actually gonna get this out of here before I kind of give you a look. We got the battery tying off the starter coming up to this block, and then we got the alternator wire going down, and then this wire to the main fuse box. We got, what is this? We got the throttle cable doing like a loop-to-loop because it's way too long. Here, these both are technically the throttle cable because it does some loop. I have the brake booster kinked because I have it on upside down. A bunch of stuff. So I think what I'm actually gonna try, I'm gonna flip the brake booster and clean up that line. Probably trim off this nub here so it just goes straight. That'd be great. Another thing is I might actually delete this entirely, and because I don't need this cable, and I'll just put an eyelet on the end of both of these wires. Instead of having 2 separate terminals, I'll just tie these where this go on the starter. So the battery cable will route down to that starter post, and that'll be where everything comes off of, because it's already, you know, a stud that requires battery power. So that should clean this up, because this is unnecessary, and this could be a restriction point anyway, and it's ugly, and I don't need it there, and it can completely clean up that corner if none of that's there. So I'm gonna get into that. Oh, that is so much better. I don't know why I didn't do this in the beginning. I guess I was just like overthinking it. But now I have that harness go right to the starter, and I'm gonna probably tie that up with this grounding kit, because they kind of run to the same area. And then later on I can kind of work on cleaning up kind of that rat's nest. That's basically right where the Wiring Specialties harness starts to like divert. So it looks really nasty, but it's honestly all one harness. Like, these are all connected. You know, like this thing does some weird loop that can be simplified. You know, a lot of this stuff goes back. So it's just gonna be cleaning it up. I'd really like to get another throttle cable, because then this whole loop here, this giant loop, will be gone, and that even clears it up more. So as of now, that's staying, because there's really nothing I can do about it. But overall, I'm happy. So now I just have to come up with a way to connect this port to this port right here. So I'm gonna try to see if I have any like hard line laying around that I might be able to kind of do something with. I'm not sure. I really can't like bend this, you know? It's tricky. I was hoping to be on this side, but I wasn't really thinking clearly that when you flip it 180, it goes from that corner to that corner. Oh boy. But yeah, it's getting clean. It's cleaning up nice. I have zero idea where I put this line. I spent like 15 minutes looking for it. I have no idea. It's not under the car. How does this happen? This is like, I swear to God, your memory just stops working when you're working on cars. Things just disappear. How did I not notice? It was sitting right in front of my goddamn face. Hey, there we go, that works. So I gently bent that around, and it chipped a lot of the little paint off it, but that's fine. Ran it under the distribution block lines and up into there. I think overall, that looks a million times neater. So happy with that. So I know I mentioned earlier that I picked up some parts. I got some manual upper door cards here that I'm going to use with the LRB Speed shaved door cards, you know, the no armrest metal sheets. So that'll be coming later, but I got these ahead of time rather than modify mine up. And then I got a new window switch, a new windshield wiper switch. Hopefully that'll fix the intermittent issue I'm having. This one also has this button, because mine was missing it, and I'm hoping to use this for something cool later. I got a lens for that guy. What else? I got the little diagnostic panel thing. I want to use that for the clock. And then I also got an actual glove box latch, because I made one. So that's great. Shout out to Josh. He sells great parts. And then I also grabbed a wiperless hatch, which just looks so much cleaner in the rear than having the big wiper there. Granted, it's dirty, but it'll work. And then this weekend, I'm also grabbing an aluminum hood from him because I'm so sick of this BS. So with the aluminum, I won't have to cut out all the structure in the middle. I did that just to save some weight, which really didn't save much. So I'm gonna actually only cut out kind of around here on the other hood, and then I'll also cut out a lot of this up here to make the latches a lot easier on the other hood. Sweet. Curious, I'm gonna take a look inside the tank. It doesn't look promising just because of how nasty the sock looks. Yeah, there's a lot of sediment in there. A whole lot. Other than that though, the tank is pretty good. So odds are the next time I'm here, definitely have to drop that tank and rinse it out. It is nasty. And maybe that's what happened. I mean, I really doubt it. I mean, the pressure was fine. That pump flows way more than I need, so even if it's partially clogged or the sock's struggling, it's still going to pump plenty of fuel at this power level. I'm nowhere near the capability of that pump. But overall, I think I did a lot today. I'm really happy with how clean this came out. I even tucked up some of the wiring over there. It's even neater. So now I just got to get my hands on a pretty new throttle cable. Probably going to paint the cap on that power steering reservoir. The yellow just does not look good in here. It stands out like a sore thumb. Oh man, I can't even express enough how stoked I am to be in this new garage, actually just getting stuff done, because every time I come here, I can like actually do something. There's so much light. It's really nice. The weather's starting to cool down. I got a nice breeze through here. And I'm just getting stuff done, and it's really, really satisfying, and it's really motivating me to keep going. It's pretty unlikely that I'm gonna make it out to a drift event this season. You know, I've taken the car a lot farther than I planned on doing before drifting it, but once I got the Haltech, I kind of forced myself to need to like take care of a bunch of other stuff, especially a tune. I'm not sure if I'll be able to afford that before the end of the season, and I really don't want to, you know, hurt myself financially getting that done. But yeah, so I'm just banging stuff out, and it feels really good, and it's really getting me into this again, and I'm stoked. I hope you guys are stoked. If you are, please hit that like button. If you want to keep following along with my build, Ted Z, you know, anything else we do here, please subscribe and hit that little bell if you want to get an email when I post. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.